Thanks for tuning in to another one of the tutorial type videos to support practical skills on your forest school course. I'm Steve from Steve Greaves Outdoors. Today we're going to have a look at cutting tools. We're going to have a look at some knife work. We're going to do a bit of whittling together. We're going to have a look at some small bore sawing. We're going to use a Bahco Laplander. Okay. And we're also going to have a little look at using an axe. This is a Grants 4 Brooks small forest axe, which I would suggest is top end. You can get equipment much cheaper than the things we'll use today, but I think that try and use the best tools you can afford is the best way of looking at it from my perspective. So we'll take a look first of all at doing some sawing to prepare a piece of wood that we're going to whittle then into a tent peg, a simple tent peg. Okay. I'm going to take something like this sort of shape piece of wood. You can see it's probably about 25 millimeters, I guess, in diameter, and we're going to saw some chunks of that up, and then we're going to use the knife to whittle that. Okay. So let's take a look at that. I've chosen to work down onto a wooden stump. This gives me a little bit of lift from the forest floor. Obviously we're not in the forest today, you can still see that, but it still gives you the same kind of setup, if you like. If you're working right down on the forest floor, it can be quite tricky. I'm going to be wearing a glove on my helping hand, on my supporting hand for this job. Often people get tangled up on which glove to use, when to use a glove. A great bit of advice from me, I guess, is just to think about if the glove will help protect that hand, that helping hand. If so, put a glove on. So for a job like sawing, I'm going to be putting a glove on my helping hand. It goes with. I'm right hand dominant, so this is obviously on my left hand here. A Bahco saw. You've seen these before, I'm pretty sure, these folding saws. Great bit of kit. The actual blade locks in and also locks open. So to get the blade out, press this button here, and out the blade comes like that. It's like a big folding penknife kind of setup. Okay, and that blade will stay put there now until you're ready to put it away. Okay. So what we're going to try and do here is choose the piece of wood that we're after. I'm kind of wanting the piece which is sort of between there and sort of there. Okay, so I'm going to cut the end off first. So I'm going to lay that down on the stump. I'm going to push it down with the glove. Now obviously I'm going to be working here. My hand's quite close, so I'm going to be very mindful of that as I'm doing that. Okay. I might want to get myself into an even more comfortable position, maybe down on one knee even. We'll try that. Okay. I know some people refer to that as a respect position. Myself, again, I find whatever works best for you in the situation that you found yourself in. Okay. So I'm just going to pull in something to kneel up, get down on one knee, get balanced up there, take the saw. Okay, just put the saw onto where the first cut's going to be, and just draw it back a few times, just to embed those teeth into the piece of wood. Once you find it embedded, you can then just take your time, saw your way through. Okay. There you go. First cut. Second cut's going to be down here somewhere. Same deal again, just draw the blade through a piece of wood a couple of 3 times until it's embedded, until the teeth are embedded, and then you just start steady away. There we go. So we'll call that done for now. Put the blade away, you just push the same button in again, watch your fingertips, just fold it over, you'll hear it click, and it'll stay put. Okay, and I'm going to put mine back in this little cover as well. So that's basic sawing, no big dramas, just sawing for yourself on an individual basis, cutting up and preparing materials. Great bit of kit. Okay. So we're going to put a point on one end of this little baton of wood, and that point will be where it would actually go in the ground if it was going to be a tent peg. That's the sort of plan with that. So I'm going to take a look at my knife now. Okay, this is a homemade knife, but it sits in its cover like all the others, and taking it out carefully, not to catch the cutting edge of the knife. And you can see the obvious parts of this knife, which can be quite dangerous. So advice again is just to stay away from them pointy bits. Keep your skin and anybody else's skin for that matter away from those pointy bits. Okay, now you might choose to do safety talks with your learners. You might choose to just work with knives on your own, on an individual basis with one-to-one for kids. It's your call. Just remember that the tools and all of the kind of practical skills that we tend to teach you don't necessarily make you forest school. Okay, but at this stage we're looking at the skill itself. So we're going to take the knife out of its cover, okay, and we're going to have a little go at using it on a piece of wood. Okay. Now there's several safety features to consider here. You can think about the direction that the actual blade's going to go in. So if you are starting out whittling and you're just learning the job, you're going to be thinking about keeping it completely away from your body. So working from here at the side and away from yourself like this, perhaps even down onto another stump of wood. Okay, we're just going to take the knife and just take a little bit of wood off, carve it down a little bit, so you can see the process going on there. Okay. Now I keep my knives really sharp. Okay, because actually a blunt knife is quite a dangerous knife, whereas a sharp knife is a much safer knife. It kind of does what it's meant to do, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm just starting on one side of the piece of wood. You can see there, just starting to take it down. Okay. This. Now if you've done a bit of whittling already and you're feeling comfortable and confident, then this position can feel a little bit awkward sometimes. So you can perhaps bring the piece of wood around, you can rest both elbows on your knees, and then you can work here like this. Okay. Again, well away from your body. Okay, no chance that that knife is going to come into contact with you. Okay. I'm just going to take our time, whittle that down there. Okay. Now we could spend the whole video doing this. Okay. Alternatively, we could go and move on to using an axe to put a point on, and that's something I'd like to show you as well in the same process. So I'm going to put this down safely, put the knife away in its sheath, and we'll put that down for use in a bit. We're going to have a look at the axe. Like I said earlier, Gransford Brooks, good quality axe. It's got its knife sheath, it's got its blade sheath on there, look. That comes off dead straightforward. Okay, and that exposes the cutting edge. Obviously that's the dangerous bit there. It's the bit you want to avoid touching your body or anybody else's body. So again, think about how you're going to use this thing. So I'm going to show you a little technique. It's going to be small chip type use of the axe to put, or to help me put that point on that there stick. So just for now, while I get myself set up, I'm going to put that back on. Get yourself around back into a similar position that I use for sawing. Okay. I'm actually going to use the axe down onto this piece of wood here. Okay, hand obviously well away from where this is going to be, so the angles are important. Okay, the angles are important on this one. Okay. But again, it's not massive blows, so it's not as I've got the axe held really quite close to the head here. Okay, let's get comfortable there, and then just some really small little chip cuts like this. Turn it around, same again. see how quickly the axe has helped us put a point on that stick. And go back on a few more times, just to sort of sharpen it up a bit. I'm pretty confident that will go in the ground if I was to tap it in. Okay. We'll just come back to the knife just to finish off a little bit of the actual tidy up job. Put the cover back on again. We're going to come back to the axe again in another video, a splitting video. I'm going to go back into the seated position. Get comfortable again. Grab the knife, take it out of its cover one more time. Now they're working side and away from yourself like you were earlier, or back in this position again. Okay, and just whittling to take off those sharp edges. Okay. Just take your time with it. No dramas, no rush. What we end up with is a nice neat point on the end of your stick. Okay, and that's obviously going to go in the ground. If you're making a tent peg, you also want a little notch somewhere up here, so the actual guy line that you're going to use it on there doesn't just slide off the end. Okay, so there's a few more techniques to do for that. Again, you could use a second block of wood to place a piece of wood down there, and I just tend to rock the knife there back and forth a few times to get it embedded, or to speed the job up a little bit. What you could do is you could grab your little Laplander saw again. Yeah, remember this one? And then just gently draw it back a few times. Get that blade embedded in the piece of wood again. We'll say about a third of the way through, maybe. Should be enough. Close it down. Back in its cover. Knife out again. Mindful of where it's going. Okay, and then with this, we could just literally a few more of those carvy type cuts in there. We've got ourselves a tent peg with a nice little notch in. And now it's a perfectly serviceable peg, and a little bit more time tidying it up if that's important to you. More of a notch now. And the final little trick I tend to do with all my tent pegs is just with the thumb of the gloved hand pushing the blade forwards to take off that leading edge of the peg. What we've ended up with there, a simple completed tent peg, which you could use time and time again, much better than those little wire things you get with your modern day camping tents. So I hope that's been useful. I'll come back around to the axe and splitting in another video, but for now, hopefully you've seen making of a tent peg how straightforward that can be. Thanks for tuning in. See you again soon.